When people ask about property in Ghana, they are usually asking about the price first. Now, the price is absolutely important, but then the question of price is also the most incomplete question you can ask about a property, because a property doesn't just cost money, it costs time, patience, and energy. In the previous episode, we discussed the matter of being ready to make a property decision. And this episode goes further to cover the costs people rarely prepare for and why ignoring them can make acquiring a property feel stressful, sometimes disappointing, and often overwhelming. So, let's get into it. The price of a property is often what changes the tone of the conversation about that property. But then the price is not the full story. Two people can buy properties at the same place at the same price and can have completely different experiences. One may feel confident and in control, while the other feels stressed and trapped. Now, the difference here is not the price, as you can see. What makes the difference is what they plan for beyond the price. By now, it's become quite obvious that property transactions involve layers. There's documentation, there's verification processes, professional services, timelines to deal with, and coordination between multiple people and service providers. So when people budget only for the price of the property, everything else feels like an unexpected burden. And this is often when and where frustration sets in. Now, many buyers feel shocked by the different fees they have to pay, not because the fees are new, but then because they're not aware early enough. Now, in a well-structured property transaction, you pay your lawyer, that's your legal fees, you'll pay your agent's commission, your surveyor will definitely send his invoice, and land title documentation will also cost you a bit. Now, if you bring, let's say, a property inspector to come check out the property before you buy it, or maybe you bring in other service providers, they will also need to be sorted out. Now, these are not made up fees to stress you as a buyer. They exist because property transactions are complex and they're very risky. So you need the right people working on the different aspects and the different processes involved. The problem is not the fees themselves. The problem is entering into a transaction without understanding what each fee covers and why it exists. So when the fees are not clear, people end up feeling cheated. But then when you understand the fees, you come in prepared. And as you can see, your understanding changes the emotional experience you feel when you are dealing with other fees beyond the price of the property. Time is one of the most underestimated costs when it comes to real estate. Transactions may take longer than expected. Construction may take a bit longer than they promised you. And when it comes to permits and approvals, these also take time. So if your decision is built on very tight timelines, then of course, every delay will feel like a crisis. But then when there's pressure on your time, the probability of making mistakes go up. And mistakes in real estate are so expensive that you really want to eliminate them completely or at least minimize them. You'll need to plan and expect some delays, but then that doesn't make you a pessimist. It makes you realistic and very practical. Property decisions carry a substantial emotional weight, whether we acknowledge it or not. There's stress during negotiations, and you may feel some anxiety while you wait for updates on the progress of the property. You may feel frustrated when things don't move as you expect. And very often, people underestimate this part and they're surprised by how draining the process can feel. They thought that buying a property would bring peace immediately, but then instead, it brings a season of uncertainty before that peace comes. Now, as you deal with all the weights and the processes of acquiring a property, one of the most expensive costs you should avoid by all means is bad advice, or advice that is not complete. Now, you can listen to your friends who had different experiences, but then don't assume that your experience will be just like this. You can check out opinions online, but then don't follow them without context. Make sure they apply to you before you take any cue from that. Don't rely on assumptions when it comes to buying a property. Make sure everything that needs to be verified is verified. And in hindsight, bad advice doesn't really sound bad in the beginning, but then by the time the cost shows up, the decision has already been made. And that is why clarity for commitment matters so much. So when you ask about how much property costs, you need to expand that question and go deeper. Because the most expensive properties are not always the ones that are most expensive on paper. The most expensive properties are often the ones that you buy without understanding. So before you make a property decision, make sure you understand it. Many thanks for tuning in today. I'm Desmond Kafui, and I'll see you in the next episode.